we're just pretty much trying to get people off the fucking couch to go do something that they enjoy and they're passionate about and
Yeah.
quit doing dumb shit, you know?
Yep. Yep.
So, and then quit, you know, obviously spending money on dumb shit too. Like just pretty much anything along those lines. Like, yeah, let's get
Well, that is
people.
absolutely, you know, the pretty much what you just described as the motto of my life of like not spending money on stupid shit and working your ass off. That's really, I mean, if that was if the two things that someone would come to me and ask, what do you need to do to be successful? I mean, that's literally, I mean, like I talked to you on the phone the other day and I was telling you a lot of people get a good deal or, you know, come into some money and they blow through it. Like, you know, go buy a boat or something like, you know, and I'm not saying that that stuff's not, you know, good to have. I mean, I preach to my 11-year-old son as I'm trying to form him into being an entrepreneur. And you know, if you want that boat or you want that car or whatever that you're trying to get, then try to figure out a way to make money to pay for it. You know, that's always been my biggest thing, you know, with everything. I've owned a boat before and it's fun, and stuff like that. But it's always about, you know, don't spend, if you got 30 grand in the bank, don't go spend it on a boat. The boat's going to be worth less money, you know, or even if you took out a loan for the boat, you know, like go find a house that you can generate $600 a month rent, then go finance the boat. Your boat's free. You know,
Yeah,
shit like
somebody
that.
else is paying for your boat.
Yeah. So
Yeah,
shit like that is what I always try to preach is, you know, I'm just not, I'm very frugal and, you know, I'm not like that kind of guy, but I'm not saying, I always tell that to people, like some people just laugh at people that do buy stuff. And like, I don't have anything against buying expensive or things that, you know, as long as
Yeah,
you
if
got
you're
the,
happy, fuck it. Go buy
yeah,
you a boat, whatever. But just
yeah,
understand the repercussions of a boat and the finances that go behind it. And if
yeah,
you really can't afford it, then you're a dumbass and you're not going to be happy in the end. I mean, honestly, you got to I mean, I'm not saying you're a dumbass, but it's not intelligent to go out and spend the money that you don't really have on some silly shit that you don't really need at the moment. Scale something a little bit farther down the road and then get you your boat, get you your
yeah,
house. But
exactly.
that, yeah, go ahead.
But that's exactly what I was going to say. It was just, you know, this along the lines of like how to get to where you're at, to where you can purchase that, not just go in. You know, some people get out of college, they get a good job, and then they get, you know, go buy what do I qualify for on a house, and they go buy a $500,000 house because they're and their spouse are making, you know, dual income, no kids, and they're making good money, and they don't look at the investment side of things, and they just immediately want to know because that's just what we were taught too, you know. And you know, you know, Rich Dad Poor Dad was the best book I've ever read, and that's one of the things too. Like your personal house is your worst investment, and it's just like it blows your mind the things that, you know, that book has taught me so much, and probably one of 5 books, no shit, that I've ever read in my entire fucking life. I'm not a reader. I'm more of an analytical guy. I'm numbers. Like I just don't like reading, but I read that book and it literally was phenomenal. And but
I'll check
that
that
is
out.
like,
Yeah, for sure.
yeah, Rich Dad Poor Dad, you know, Robert Kiyosaki, he wrote that.
Okay.
So like his thing's like your personal house is your worst asset. You know, yeah, everybody thinks that because, you know, when we were growing up, and especially, I don't know, how old are you?
I'm 24.
Okay, so I'm 37, so I got a little age on you, but still, I think
Mhm.
your generation and mine are probably still in that mindset of our parents said, go to school, get an education. So that's what we do, and we get rack up credit card debt and college debt to get to where you want to be to make a job that's making you $40,000 a year. I'm going to brag on my son here for a second.
Yeah, go ahead.
He's 11 years old, and these are 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. He sells cards online.
Hell
11 years
yeah.
old.
Was it sports
Check out.
cards or
He does basketball only.
basketball
So
sports? Hell
so
yeah.
he actually will do a handwritten note from him, and this was all his idea, and I just
Damn,
helped him
that's
do
so
it. So I
yeah.
check out and promote his website. It's n1cards.com.
N1cards.com. Okay, I'll get it
And
afterward. I'll
yeah,
write it all down so I can
yeah,
tag
yeah.
everything up.
So, but
100%.
anyways,
Yeah, that's
but like
awesome, my
he's
man.
11 years old, and he just hustles though, and that's the
That's what I
thing.
said. He's hustling, man.
He sold this one online last night, and then this morning when I woke up, it was setting by my stuff ready to go on the stack of his other cards. We actually shipped out 3 on Saturday, and then he's got 7 for me to ship out now. But like it's just, you know, there's so many ways to make money is what I was getting at.
Oh
Was like,
yeah,
you
man.
know,
Gary V would love the shit out of you right now. He's been preaching on sports
yeah,
cards,
he's
man.
been on cards, and but a lot of my friends know that my son does that, and they'll tag him on his, on Gary V's website, and I wish that they would just see what he does.
Yeah.
So Connor's got he's got a and1cards.com, and then he does on eBay, and he's literally just he's into these cards so crazy. But anyways, that's just something I wanted to throw out there and give him a little props on because he's 11.
100%.
You know
Yeah.
what I mean? And you can make money. And like we talked on the phone yesterday, it was like there's so many ways to make money. It's like some people just don't really have the drive. And then I see people who do have drive that just don't, they don't know where to start or what to do. And it's like, just find what you're passionate about. My son loves cars and he collects them. And that's when I said, won't you turn that into a business? And he's like, tell me how to do it. And then, that's how it started. And like, whatever you're passionate about or whatever you can do to try to make money, if you truly enjoy, and what I talk to these entrepreneur classes at Prosser and stuff like that. And I've always told them, like, you don't have to be like me where you own 10 businesses and a bunch of rental property to be an entrepreneur. I've got a buddy that owns a plumbing business that is completely self-employed, 0 employees, probably makes 200,000 a year as a plumber.
Yeah.
Like,
Oh yeah.
and if that's what you love,
And that's never going anywhere. He's good for life. I mean,
yeah,
that profession will never go anywhere. So.
yeah. So what I say in that aspect of him, I'm like, with what you're gonna do, and you're gonna bust your ass, and you're gonna work 30 years of your life. You're making good money, yeah. But when you retire, is your plumbing business worth anything? Because you are the one that is the business. You can't sell a business that says, hey, here's my business. I've done this much in revenue, but I'm going to retire and I'm not going to work it. Like, yeah, you're going to get calls. Like, you could sell that business for a little bit, probably. Someone's going to want to buy the name. But if it's Mike Smith Plumbing and Mike Smith's no longer there, and you call that, it's not going to be worth as much. So what I say is, when you're making money, invest it into real estate. So that's where, like, a lot of my money's came from, where I've had restaurants, and when they do good, I'm reinvesting in real estate. So at the end of the day, when the restaurant's not performing and you get rid of it, what do you have from that? All that cash flow you had when you were doing really well was dumped into real estate, and you got more property.
So walk me through that a little bit. Like, when you go to purchase a restaurant, like, you buy the real estate and then you kind of put a franchise on top of it, or how are you doing that?
Well, I bought my first one at 22, and that was one I actually purchased the business, the liquor license, all the stuff inside it. A lot of the ones that I purchased were like failing or not doing the good numbers, and I purchased and then revamped type thing. Like, it wasn't, I didn't purchase anything that was like a successful running. You're going to pay top dollar when you do that.
Yeah.
And a lot of times with restaurants and bars, they're up and down anyways. So we always bought at the bottom, rebranded it, got the sales a little better, and then resold it. Well, then when I did Big Four Burgers in 2013, that brand just took off. So I try to purchase the real estate wherever business I own is at. So then once you get it there and successful and you sell the business, you still own the property on where it's at. I've done that with probably 3 or 4 where I still own the property. And now that the restaurant business is even more cutthroat, it's a little harder. Like, I almost don't want that type of real estate headache. It's not like McDonald's where they're cranking out $3 million a year per store and they can pay those numbers. That's what McDonald's does, is they do triple net leases on all the ground where their McDonald's are, and their corporate on the real estate side of things they make tons of money, but they've got a proven model at every store that they do X amount of dollars. So they're $6,000, $10,000 a month. Triple net lease for the ground is nothing. It's just a check, and they're not even flinching on it. But so from what I've done, you create these independent stores and you sell them, get good money. A lot of times I've owner financed it. So if I take a store and I bought it, a lot of them I bought for just equipment value. So you buy it for 30 grand, put a new name on it, get it rolling, making good money. The Big Four brand I had for 5 years. So, and they were doing really good numbers at one point, like crazy numbers. And I invested every penny back into real estate. So when we went and I sold the stores, I owner financed them, which hindsight now, I lost both of those back. They defaulted on their payments. and I got them both back, but then I resold them again. So, but no one's going to come in with $500,000 and buy an independent store, you know. So you're a lot of times you're going to have to owner finance them.
Okay, I got you.
So
So,
you bought it for 30 grand for equipment, you get it up and running, the sales are doing $1 million a year, then you can sell the business for, you know, $200,000, you get 10% down. So I almost paid for your initial investment, then you're getting interest on that money.
okay. I mean, shit, it's been great for you so far. Honestly,
Yeah.
and that's why I was excited to talk to you because that's one game that I don't know shit about. Like, nothing about. That's why I was
Okay.
pumped because I was
A
like,
restaurant
I do
or
want to kind of dig into a little bit of how you do operate in that, that area. And that's
on the
strictly what you
restaurant
do
side of things,
too. What's that?
on a restaurant or real estate.
Both, man. I mean,
Uh,
it's all hand in hand when you're buying the property itself, right?
Yeah, I
So,
mean, pretty much. I mean, there was some ones that I just could not, like Big Four in New Albany. I never owned that building. Like I wanted that location where it was at, and I had to lease, you know. But
okay.
you know, sometimes it's just not going to happen, you know. And it's not you know, to me, when all you're renting, it's not the best thing in the world. But if you're paying for that location to produce those numbers, and we produced some crazy fucking numbers when we were there, so it's like, you know, we paid that $3,000 a month, but we were raking in way more than that to compensate the numbers we were at. We couldn't have done, you know, at a different location. And one thing with
Mhm.
restaurants, like if you're truly passionate about restaurants and you want to own a restaurant, one, there's two ways I think you should do it. You actively, you know, run it. You're there 100 hours a week. If you have no kids, no family, open to close 7 days a week. Close on Sundays if you want off on Sunday. That's one. And you're buying yourself a job is all you're doing there. So if you want a job, you know, I mean, if it's about your ego and you want to own it and it's just your thing, then you can do it and make 60 grand a year owning a restaurant and putting yourself through a bunch of shit.
Yeah.
Or two, you scale it and you do volume. I would never own a fucking like 25-seat restaurant ever because you can't make no money. You could be packed open to close and you're barely making money. You know, 5% profit margin. It's nothing. So if you're doing 2 million a year in a 5% profit margin, that's a lot. That's a lot better. You're not going to do 2 million a year out of 35 seats. You know, so that's what we always try to do is either more seats or on the liquor side of things. If you have a bar business and do more bar business, that was a good way to generate extra revenue as well. But so that's from a restaurant side of things, what my perspective is. And on the real estate side of things, like I was telling you, just a brief rundown of me, I bought my first property at 19. So, and what's funny is that, you know, the Robert Kiyosaki Rich Dad Poor Dad book, you know, your home is your worst investment because it doesn't generate you revenue. So I could go live with my parents and have zero bills. So that's what he's trying to say is that you're going to get appreciation. One thing I would say is if your home's paid off, you leverage the fuck out of it. And I mean that blows people's minds when someone says something like that. Like, oh my God, I'm going to take out money on my house to go buy another house. Like, what if I don't pay it? I'm going to lose my house. Well, guess what? If you buy a rental property and you get a second loan from a different bank and you don't pay that one, you're going to fucking lose your house anyways. You know, like it doesn't, whether or not you leverage your house or the house you're buying, you're still going to, you can't just give property back to a bank and think that they're just going to go away. It's going to come back. Your credit's ruined. I mean, so when I bought my first house at 19, I had a 3-bedroom and I rented 2 bedrooms to friends of mine for $300 a month. That's pretty good for them because they can't live in a brick ranch house somewhere and pay that kind of money. And like I paid all utilities, so I had money coming in at least. So I had that house for a year, and I was 20 years old. Bought my first triplex. So like I was telling you, I worked
And
2
you
jobs.
refinanced that first property to do that next jump, or what did you do?
No, no,
Okay.
no. So the second property was at the time. Let's see, I was 2004, I guess, and the banks were pretty loose then. So you know, it leads up into the 2000 crash of
Yeah, yeah,
2007, and banks were starting to lend to pretty much anybody that had a heartbeat.
yeah.
So, and I went to the bank and they said 10% down, it's an $80,000 house, 8 grand is nothing. I mean,
Yeah.
when back then I'm working 2 jobs, like I was telling you, I wasn't making tons of money. I was
You're
just working
saving
my
them.
ass off. I'm working
Yeah.
80 hours a week at 19 years old, you know, and still going to school. So my W-2s were insane. You know, making 40,000 a year at 19 was a lot. So I had W-2s, and that's one thing right now the banks just love. Like even me, self-employed, making crazy money right now, I'm still getting, I still get, you know, the bank's still on me about, you know, what's this come from? What's this? Oh my God, how much money did I make last year? I'm not a W-2, so they don't give a shit. It's not guaranteed next year is why they scrutinize you so much. I can make as much money as I wanted in 2019. It's not guaranteed in 2020.
Okay.
So, so I bought my first house. Then the second house, 10% down, is like $80,000 triplex. So I got that one. And at the time, I had no idea what I was really doing. You know, it wasn't like I knew. I wasn't really didn't have a background in construction or anything. I mean, I just knew that I wanted to be successful, and was the route I wanted to go.
Yep.
So,
Trial and error from there.
yeah, so I put 10% down, bought that one. Still have my personal house. But then a year later, I was 21. I bought a duplex. So my goal was to buy one every year initially, and then the third year, the market kept going. So my house was appreciating, my original house that I'm living in. So I took a home equity out, and I went partners on and bought a laundromat. So like that's the stuff that like, you know, looking back, it's like, damn, that was risky. But at least I was still like 23 years old, 22 years old when I did it. And if it would have completely failed, then it was just a $22,000 home equity loan that I went, you know, on it. So fortunately, the laundromat did good, you know. So I kept my jobs, and then at 22 when I graduated IUS, I quit both my jobs. At that point, I had four rental houses and a laundromat. And then I was kind of dabbling in wanting to get into construction. Well, then I ended up building in 2007, built some houses and stuff like that. But one of the things I wanted to say is that, so I'm 22 years old, and a friend of mine sets me down and he says, I want to have a talk with you. He's like, he's a CPA now, which I'm not going to say his name because he's probably still a CPA making $70,000-$80,000 a year at, you know, our age now. So, and he sets me down and he said, I want to have an intervention with you. I'm like, what? And he's like, I'm just doing the calculations, and you're, you know, $600,000 in debt. You know, you're 22 years old. I'm just worried you're gonna, you know, lose everything. And then I started second guessing myself, and I'm like, fuck. I mean, am I doing the right thing? I mean, he's a smart guy, you know. I mean, you know, maybe I'm going a little overboard. So then I started, and I was always told, my mom always said I was over ambitious. Believe it or not, I swear to God, it's a true fucking thing. So I'm like, this is crazy, you know. So I started thinking like maybe I should just settle down. Then I read Rich Dad Poor Dad, and the book changed my life. Like it was everything, every philosophy I have in real estate is in that book. And I always preach that to people reading it. And it's truly because it just, I mean, I was living it, and then I had no idea. And then they wrote a book about it. So I
That
read
just
it and
blew
I'm
your
like,
mind. You're like, damn. All right, let's keep fucking rolling. Like, let's go.
I was balls to the wall. I mean,
Yes.
so then I just kept buying. The 2007 came. I sold a bunch of shit because the prices had inflated so much, and then the market tanked a little bit. So then I was buying more stuff, and in the meantime, I also had bought a
Pennies.
bar.
Yeah.
So I bought a bar, and then the bar was doing good, and then I sold it. So then I bought and sold my first bar, paid like 80 for it. I think when it was all said and done, after we remodeled and everything in it, had it for a year and sold it for like, I think 175.
Oh,
And
nice.
I was like, damn, that was easy. So then that kind of got me into the bar thing, and we started doing. So I started buying bars, and then they kind of gradually turned into more restaurants, you know. And then that's where Big Four Burgers came from. And Big Four was just, I mean, we were doing crazy numbers out of that. Out of both, we had 2 stores, and then finally I just got burnt out on the restaurants. I mean, we had probably 80 employees at one time.
And are
And
you
the
hiring
bar,
most of those initial employees too yourself or what?
no, when we started Big Four and Jeff, 2013, we initially just opened up doing like crazy numbers. Like day one, we opened in December and it was like snowing outside.
There's a
And we
hot
had,
spot over there too. You got a beautiful spot over there.
yeah, it was before the walking bridge opened.
Oh,
So
okay. Still,
yeah, so
yeah.
that was 2013, and it was snowing outside that weekend, and we did like 8 grand our opening weekend, and I was like, this is freaking, it is snowing, like you couldn't even like get down the road. So I
Yeah.
knew it was going to be good. So we ramped up and hired some people. And then after we got good enough, I think I worked it physically 3 months. The first 3 months I worked it, probably freaking open to close. Like it was insane. And I mean, I remember one time before we opened, I literally slept in the. We were before we opened. I literally slept in the office for 30 minutes. I'm working, and I looked down, and it was like 6:30 in the morning, and I had a meeting there at 7. And so I slept in the office on the couch for like 30 minutes, and my 7 o'clock came in, and it's just shit like that that I was trying to tell you. Like I can tell you as much as you want to hear about being an entrepreneur, but if you don't have the drive,
Then
and
you're, yeah.
people think it's going to be handed to you. Like I probably work 30, 40 hours a week right now,
Yeah.
but that's because I busted my fucking ass from 19 years old to literally probably 34, 35 years old. Like, I mean, it's just hard work. That's all it is.
100%. And I mean, it takes time. Like it takes like fucking be patient. It's so hard for especially like even me. Like I get on myself. I have to get on myself all the time because I get impatient on some of the things. But now I'm like, I finally do love my process a lot. So, but ideally, it did take me a while to get to that perspective to where I'm like, fuck that. Like let's just let's love this shit. Let's go because I know if I put in the amount of work that I know I need to be putting in, like I'll be there one day. So let's just enjoy this fucking ride and let's keep going. And I hate that because people, and I've said this in episodes before. I mean, people just dream real big, and they have these ideas. Nobody wants to go out and execute, even if they'll talk so passionate about it for an hour, 30 minutes, something like that, but
Oh
you're not going to do shit after. You're not going to go on the computer, pull up YouTube and watch some videos about some people that are already doing it so you can learn their perspective and, transcribe a few together to where you can make that initial move.
yeah,
People don't just put in some work, learn it and do it. Like, that's it. It's
that's the
cliche
main
as
thing.
fuck, but just go out and do it.
Yeah. Well, I mean, I tell everybody that too. Like if they, I've had friends call me, I want to open a daycare. I'm like, okay, first thing first, go get a job at a daycare. Well, I'm not gonna work at a daycare. I'm like, what the fuck? You tell me you want to open a daycare and never work there? You don't know, like you don't want to know the ins and outs of what you need to be doing. Like, I mean, that to me is like step number one. Work it. And people
Yes.
don't, dude. I washed dirty underwear at my laundromat the first 3 weeks we were there. Like, I came in there and when I bought it, I'm like, I want to know everything you all do because I did not know it. At that time, I seen the numbers and it was on autopilot anyways.
Mm-hmm.
So that's why I didn't go in there and work at a laundromat. But I had other income to supplement, if it did tank or whatever. But once I bought it, I went in there. I'm like, I want to know everything you do. And she's like, you did? I mean, what? I'm like, yeah, the manager in there making minimum wage. This was probably $5 an hour back then in 2004 or five or whatever. So, and I'm like washing dirty underwear, like, and it's just things that I do. I mean, I catch myself all the time. I'm like, the things I do to fucking save money, it's like, and I think that's what a lot of people would frown upon or be like too good for them to do. And here I am, like, that's why I've got money because I literally save money,
And I mean that builds up for like long term. Like
oh
you
my God.
understand these people from
Yeah.
the bottom up. Like
Yeah.
you've purchased this, but I also understand every job that they're doing. So I
Oh,
know if, and I know my numbers look good, but I know if they're performing well because I've actually done this job myself.
yeah. Well, also too, like, one of my things is that I wouldn't want to be put in a position where if my manager called me and said, "Hey, I quit," and I don't know what to do. You know what I mean? Like that's one other thing too is that if you do own a business or something, yeah, you don't do you really need to know how to serve tables? Probably not. But you also need to know, you know, the ins and outs of what needs to be done in case you can't ever have your employees have upper hand on you to where you just can't say, dude, I will fire you. Like I was always pretty easy to deal with, always. I mean, but when it comes down to like if my money, if you mess with my money, I will definitely say something, but like I've always was like I let my managers do their thing, but I've always was the one that had a type A personality that I'm going to tell them like, if you're doing the wrong thing and I don't care to fire you. Like you can be replaced. Like I always said that. And I think, but you can't have that if you don't know what they do. You know what I mean? Like you can't be an absentee owner and tell someone that. and then them know, like,
Who the fuck are
bullshit,
you? Like,
he
yeah.
ain't gonna fire me because he don't know, he wouldn't know how to run this place,
No.
you know. So
100%. I agree with you. Learn everything you can about it. So what
mhm.
do you? So you've jumped out of. So you're pretty much only doing like rental property and stuff right now. You said you jumped out of the restaurant, the bars. Like, what are you? What do you? What do
Yeah,
you?
I mean, I feel like that, yeah, definitely. I mean, especially as I get older too, like it was definitely fun. And it's the risk I think you need to take when you're younger. Like right now, if someone called me and had the best idea ever for a restaurant in the best location, I would say no, because I just, it takes the employees, there's the phone calls. I mean, we were on vacation in Destin um, a couple weeks ago or a month ago or so, and my wife or my father-in-law was like, "What's up with your phone? It's not ringing as much as it used to." And I'm like, I don't have any employees. Like we sub out a lot of the construction stuff now and things that I can't personally do. I enjoy that the most of being at a house working on it, but my stress level has came down, and like there's things that I feel like you can take less money as you start to build your wealth. You can actually put a value on time. Like I had no value for time initially because I knew I had to be working. I was always constantly reinvesting and working. But now as you start to make your money work for you more, you don't have to worry about being there doing things, and the time you can actually take off more now. So I think that's key of like just once you actually put in and you get it and you're there and you start actually building enough money to where like we talked about, like I wouldn't tell anybody to just go quit your job and start a business tomorrow. Like that's a lot of things that Gary Vee says is, make your side hustle bring in more than your day job, then you quit your day job. Like it's not fucking
Yeah.
rocket science. Like if my son he's 11, so he has no, school starts back soon, so I don't know if he'll be able to do as much as he's doing. But if he was 16 and working at a car wash making $7 an hour, I mean, after taxes and a 40-hour week, he's making more money selling cars on the side right now.
Yeah.
So, like in the same position of what you are, if you're 24 years old and you're making, 25 grand or 30 grand a year, it's not that hard to really find a side hustle. But like we said, though, like I think the key to it is like find out what you're passionate about. It blows my mind that people will go, and I've shared the meme before where it shows like your timeline of your life. So you're in school till you're 22, and then you work from 22 to 65, and then the average death is what, 78 right now in the United
Yeah.
States. So you're fucking telling me that you're gonna work 40 something years of your life to have 13 years of freedom? I mean, it just
Hell
blows
no.
my mind
I
that
can't.
people would do that. But you got to find what you're passionate about because you don't want to
Yeah, you're
go,
not going to be driven
okay,
to excel at it. Yeah.
exactly. So you say, okay, I'm working making 20,000 a year right now. I can go cut grass, but I hate being outside. I have allergies. I don't want to be outside. Then that's probably not. Yes, you can make money on your side hustle doing that, but if you're not passionate about it, some people are just going to want to replace their day job and then just have another job. You know what I mean? So, and as for like on the investing side of things, like if you're that person that I've got friends, I'm 37, I've got friends for 15 years now that keep saying I want to get into it. I want to get into real estate. I want to get into real estate. I have built so much wealth with real estate, and the number one way to build wealth in the United States is real estate. And I'm not saying it to brag or boast. It's facts.
It's work.
And
Yeah.
so 15 years now, people have told me, like, friends or whatever, that say, I want to get in. Well, they always have an excuse. Like, '07, the market was too good. And then '09, the market was too bad. And then now it's like too good again. And I'm like, you know, Florida
Always an
had some,
excuse. And
yeah,
it's crazy because they're watching you 15 years, watching Matt's process. He's execute, execute, execute. Nah, I don't want to do that.
yeah.
I don't get that. Like,
Because it's also like we talked about though, it's also like it's not just there's nothing. I got my cousin that's like a brother to me, and he wants to get in real estate, and he's 30 38 now, and he just continues to work a job, and I'm like, dude, it's you can't, it's not, if it's literally too good to be true, or if it's, there's no get rich quick in this business,
Hmm.
but it takes, I get it. When you got one rental property and or two rental properties and it's bringing in $600 a month and you get a vacancy, it's stressful. I mean, I get it. It's taking that, now you went from profiting to losing money. It's stressful, but if that's the route you want to go, either A, you pay cash for residual income if you want one extra rental property. Can you hear me? It
Yeah, it's cutting. You're cutting out a little bit.
says connection unstable.
Your voice is fine. It's just the video interruption more than anything. Can you hear me? Let's see. You got me still?
Oh, I got you now.
Okay. Okay. Yeah, the voice has
Can
been
you hear
fine.
me?
The video is just cutting in and out.
Oh, okay. Well, I was gonna say, so if you have like one rental property and you pay cash for it, it's like it's just extra passive income. They're not, people aren't so worried about it. Now, if you start taking out loans on one and two, I mean, it really. That's why I started with multifamily. I'm 19 years old, buying up a bunch of five, three plexes, four plexes, five plexes, and on the flip side of that, I immediately got deemed as a slumlord. So that's one of the things I first started selling off. Once I was like, I didn't know, you know what I mean? Like you get into it and I'm looking at numbers, I'm not looking at the people there or what's going on. So then it was a lot of work, and a lot of grooming with those tenants and dealing with that crap. So it
Yeah.
wasn't easy by no means, but it cash flowed so well that it bought me other properties. Then I sold off those, and I'm kind of more of a single family guy now, more duplexes, some commercial property, and stuff like that. But so if you got three properties and one of them moves out, then people freak out, like, or they can't get over that hump. So because you got to get probably four or five before you really start not having to worry about the cash flow game, because no one wants to be negative cash flowing. Um, and a lot of people don't understand that, where if you got a mortgage on it, some of that's paying down your principal. It's not all your negative cash flowing, if you will, if you're not making enough, but if you're paying your payment and like breaking even, really you're setting up a savings plan. And a lot of times where I've had properties for 10, I just closed on one the other day that I had for 10 years and I sold it for the same amount that I bought it for. I took it on trade. So, my biggest thing about real estate is that my number one philosophy is I will not lose money. So if I buy a property, I've taken stuff on trade where I overpaid for it, I'll keep it and rent that fucker for till it falls apart and then sell it. So I had that one. I had it for 10 years, sold it for 55,000. Pretty much, I would say through the course of 10 years, probably collected, that's 120 months. I probably collected rent 115 months, like the whole time.
Yeah.
Like it always stayed full. So I go to at closing, I owe 22,000 on it when I paid it off. So it was really the tenant paid me rent that paid my mortgage for that long, and I took the risk, but they paid it. So I really just put the money down or whatever when I bought it. So it's like a savings plan also where so then I got a check minus, minus what I owed on it from the
Yeah.
bank. So
Okay. So say if we already pretty much hit it a little bit, but to get somebody off that couch and say somebody that's young, somebody that's old, they're just doing shit that they hate. What is your advice to them? Like, what is that first step you think they should absolutely take? And if they say they don't even know what they're passionate about yet, what are some things that they can do to maybe start finding that?
and I think that's what you just said is literally what I hear from everybody. Like, I don't know what I'm passionate about. I can't teach you
Yeah.
what to be passionate about. Like, what do you like? Fuck, I mean, you like flowers? Go open a florist. Like, I don't know. It's really hard. When people say that. If you give me any kind of idea of like what I can help you figure out something. Like it's hard to really tell them. Okay, you just got to be passionate. You got to work your ass off. Like I don't really know. I mean, there's so many ways you can make money, but
Infinite.
it's really about
There is
like
literally an infinite marketplace for everybody to do. If you like sports cards, boom, you could go in there and do sports cards. If you like tennis shoes, that's been ridiculous market for years. But I mean, literally anything. You want to flip kids' toys and sell them to other freaking kids, anything. Facebook Marketplace, everything. You can literally do anything just by sitting in your house. Even like you said, like doing that side hustle. Like I think like a big one for people is if you don't know what you're passionate about, but you do want to be an entrepreneur, I think start off just selling like a little bit of stuff when you get off work. Like, you don't have to go like crazy and buy like a big expensive thing and try and flip that, but just like little things and just start getting a taste for a sales process outside of working for somebody else. That it's like all on you. I think when people start doing that and they start building like a business presence of how you should operate and do things. So I think that's like a big one for people. Like if you just start doing that, I think eventually you'll find out what you love and then you'll find out that you can sell the thing that you love, you know?
Yeah, that's a
Because
really good. I mean, that right there is a really good idea. I mean, for one thing, like what's crazy about that is that we started with my son about a year ago. Before he's been collecting cards for since 2000. And we looked it up. It was like 2016. He bought his first pack before it blew up and became so popular. But it blows my mind that I never thought about setting up him and helping him sell as a card business. It started about a year ago with I said we had a room. So we have 4 kids now, and we had a room full of this all extra toys. And I was like, you guys need to go through here, figure out what toys you don't want. We'll sell them on eBay. Whatever the money you get, you all split, buy new toys, you know? So they sold the toys on there and was buying cards with it. So that's kind of how, and then he just snowballed into like the
hell
cards started
yeah.
blowing up,
I'm going to
and
use that. I
that's how.
love that.
Oh yeah. So that's kind of how it started. And to me as an entrepreneur, and so what's crazy, we were talking about this yesterday with my wife, is like we lived through without internet. We were pre-internet kids. So like to now it blows my mind just thinking as an entrepreneur, how many people I've always thought, like I swear to God, here's the thing about me. I always thought I would be like a crazy millionaire, like thinking I was going to come up with this invention or something to just change the world and make money. Now, am I worth more than $1 million? Yes. But I got there a way different way I thought I was going to be, but the drive still never changed on getting there. But I always thought I was going to have this crazy idea. And to me, the internet is, your fingertips have all this power of making money. And that's what blows my mind is that I haven't thought of a way to make more money than I have, because I just keep thinking like, and that's when the eBay thing came along with the cards with my son. I'm like, these people were buying these cards from everywhere, and my son loves Romeo Langford, obviously here locally. So this is what I told him. I said, you need to go through all your trash pile of your cards, the ones that you call trash, because in every city there's a Romeo Langford. There's a kid that came from nothing
Yep.
and is playing high school ball that made it to college, and their kids love him. So he starts going through his trash pile and putting together these like 20 card lots. Boom, selling them, $15 a pop,
Yeah.
and they're free because he thought they were cards that weren't worth anything. So that's how we started really rolling in it. So he's taking all these cards, and then now he's taking it to another level. But
Yeah.
that's the things of like how you do it with the internet. It's like your customer now has went from like mom and pops to say you're selling here locally to now can you just get a product that you could sell. You invent something. If there's something you like making on Etsy now with Etsy, Amazon, I don't know if you've seen the numbers.
Oh yeah.
Small business on Amazon is like 65% of their sales.
Yes. It's
So
ridiculous.
tell me Amazon isn't fucking really helping out the small people, because they're putting it on there
And you
to
get the funnel
billions of
through it.
people.
Yeah,
Yeah.
exactly. It's perfect for everybody.
And that's what blows my mind of like, as people probably look back at me and think that I'm very successful, I look at myself as literally a failure. Like I failed myself to not come up with something. I've lived through the era of making fucking money online, and I have failed myself is what I look at it. So, I mean, that should motivate someone else out there to go, oh my God, you know what? These widgets I'm making right now will sell like crazy, and I'm making them for $2 and they're $9.99 on Amazon. Do it, man. Fuck, like
The
that's all you got to do.
the whole
And
world's right here.
you
Just
you're gonna end up in your damn in your garage making stuff and just pumping them out. You know, I mean,
Yeah, and then you start doing a pretty big amount, and then you can start producing the content of you doing that process and all that shit. And you got this
exactly,
whole big brand that you're about to just blast to the world, all through the start of Amazon, through Etsy, and all this little stuff, just from these little things that you like to do. The whole world is at
that's
your
how you
fingertips
do
to
it.
sell any freaking thing that you want. Just
Exactly.
it's
And
crazy,
that,
man.
and you know the biggest thing about that is it costs zero fucking dollars. You know, I got my son's website, and it was like cream of the crop though. Like I went all out for him, and it was all pre-made and done, and you can pay through credit card and everything. And it was $250. Like you probably could have got a lot more generic and not accepted credit cards and kept with Venmo for $30. But what I'm saying is it's super fucking cheap to like immediately get your shit out there, and then also with Amazon. I mean, I would put it on Amazon, Etsy, stuff like that. I mean, you know, that's my biggest thing too. I mean, you gotta have the drive to do, you know, because you could set someone up and Joe Smith could have the best product ever and is just lazy as fuck and just doesn't, you know, he's gonna make 10 a week because you know what, 10 a week pays his electric bill, so that's all he cares about, you know. I've seen it. I've witnessed people when I'm like, let me invest in your business and show you how to take it and scale it, and they'll I'm good. You know, I like what I do. I'm fine. And I'm like, that's fine. You know, that's what you
Yes,
want.
if you're happy, shit. Yeah.
All it matters. You know, we live this life so short of time to not be happy is beyond me. You know,
Yeah. And that's the thing. Like
and that
that
starts
go ahead.
with your 9 to 5. I
You
mean,
know? Because this is like
you're gonna
70% of your life is work. Like
2,000 hours of a year, or if not more. And that's a full time
40,
job.
yeah.
2,000 hours a year is that's a lot of time of your day that you're not going to be happy. I mean, but
I
like I
hope you're
said, you
putting this
can't.
in perspective for some people that are listening, man. Just the how
Oh
many
man,
hours they're actually putting in a year doing shit that they really hate and they dread going there every single day. But you're not gonna come home and do anything about jumping away from it. You just want to come home
oh
and
exactly.
pull up Facebook
People
or
get
get
on
on
there.
Netflix or whatever.
That's what I'm going to say. People get on there and scour Facebook and Instagram for 3 hours, but they don't have time to get off their lazy ass and fucking go look in their basement and sell shit, or whatever, like
Yeah.
you said,
Or even
you're gonna
while
run
you're
out of
on
things
that phone,
to
just
sell.
learn some shit instead of looking at dumb shit like
Yeah,
stupid animal videos or
I mean,
whatever the
so
hell
many
you're
times.
watching. Like,
I go through phases where I'll start looking on the internet of like things. I've looked so much because like now I've got money, so usually
mhm.
it's always been from day one, dude. I'm not joking. Probably up until like the last 3 or 4 years, I've always been fucking broke, and not like I have $0 broke. It's like I reinvest every single dollar I have into real estate, and it paid off. And could it went the other way? Probably. I'm just gonna guess that most real estate people, when I buy, I have 30,000 in my bank account, and a deal come up for 30,000, and after closing, I knew I needed an extra 1,000. I would fucking sell some shit. Like I would have $0 in my bank to get a deal done. But then if I needed to sell something, I'm making money. So making that money to get it sold. But I think reinvesting that money into it is the biggest thing of like, if you have that dollar, spend it on product that you're going to do. But also whenever you first get started and you got to try to find something to sell, I mean, that's the biggest key is like, if you don't know what you want to sell, if you can't make it, you're going to have to buy it. So a lot of times it's money is the issue. So I remember looking up and just trying to find things that like, okay, now I got money. Like, what can I buy in bulk that's selling right now? So even when my son first got into basketball, I was looking on Panini's website. How can I buy a fucking pallet of it? And you can't, like, so there's certain things that you got to be certain distributors and all that shit. But that's one of the things that I always started looking at is now that I got money, what can I buy? And I couldn't find it. That's why I'm like, that's what blows my mind is that that's how I failed myself of like, there's all I needed was that one thing. Like if I would have got my in with Panini a year ago or something and been able to buy pallets of this shit, and now they're selling you. If you find any cards at Target for $50, I guarantee you that pack's selling online for 4 times the amount. That's basketball. Now, don't have people going and buying football and baseball because it's not like that with those. But
Yeah.
it's just it's just basketball right now. But like I don't know, it's just I mean I'm sure that'll die down too. I mean it's not going to be here forever. The quarantine might have had something to do with it. People were online looking up cards. Gary V's fucking talking about it, saying they're on fire and people are buying it. I had this old lady that messaged me, so I put them on. He uses my Facebook, but he's not on Facebook. But he puts them on Marketplace through my phone. So I got this old lady in Indianapolis that bought a Zion for like $300, and I
Hell
guarantee
yeah.
you she watched a video or seen something, and and it may be he sold cards. He sold a Luka Doncic back in February for 400, and he was just over the top. Now it's worth 2 grand.
Yeah,
So
no, I was
now
about to say
he
you
was
should have
like,
held on that one a little longer. I was like, oh shit. But you turn around and he was pumped about it. He had fun.
yeah,
Hell yeah. That's
you
dope. And
don't
he's
know,
is he studying like
but he,
rookies and shit coming up? So is he like holding certain
yeah,
rookies
he
or
knows. Well, he does know because that's what I said. I wonder. I was telling him, I said, I wonder if it was that we loved Romeo so much that we watched that 2019 class, so we knew every single rookie in that class. And he goes, no, I already know a bunch of 2020s coming out. And I was like, damn, I didn't, because I was just assuming that we knew because Zion was so popular. And
yeah.
then Romeo was, we knew. So we would go, we traveled Indiana, going to watch some of these all-star games and stuff. And we knew some of these kids. And then, but he's like, no, I know a lot of the 2020s coming up.
Good. He's on it then, man.
Oh,
He's
yeah,
on
he's
it.
definitely on.
I love that. And he's 11. He's 11 years old, so go do something. All these people that are 20s and
Yeah.
30s complaining about dumb shit when he's 11 and he's out here executing. I
Yeah, and that's
love
another
it.
thing too, though, is that when you say age, like there's probably some 40-year-olds that'll
Oh,
watch this
60
or
year olds
50-year-olds
that fucking go buy
that
some
are
sports cars at 60. Like that old lady. Shit, she's probably like, okay, I'm going to start flipping some cars. I'm retired. I'm chilling at home. I can go make some money and get a little bit of that competitive drive back from when I retired or whatever. Just,
so.
I don't care how old you are.
I was talking to a dude. He's like 56, and he works at God, where did he work? I think he worked at Ford or GE or one of those like nice places. And he's like, I hate my job. He was at some real estate thing we were talking about. And he's like, I want to get into investing. So then when I'm 65, I'm done. Like I can buy now and hold. I go, if that's what's crazy to me. Like I was like, what you're saying. So you're 55. You got 10 more years left. What if you die at 60? So you didn't even make it.
Yeah.
You literally did not make it to what you wanted to do. My dad died at
Mhm.
52. So I mean, I'm like you. So you're 55, and you're telling me that you have to make it to 65, and what? How much are you going to get in Social Security at 65 compared to what you would get now if you just quit now, or if you stacked up enough rental in 2 years or 3 years to get it? And he's like, I never put it like that. I never thought about it. But I'm like, if you could buy 3 or 4 rental properties and within the next 2 or 3 years, the banks would love you because you got a W-2 and you've been there for 30 years.
Yeah.
You really don't need to work that extra 10 years. So if you can replace your income, you're replacing your income. Why are you so worried about making it to 65 because you're going to get an extra $400 a month in Social Security?
Yeah, let's say you're just gonna take a small penalty, aren't you, or something like that, or if
Unless you
you
just get
draw it
less
early.
money. I don't know. I
Oh,
mean,
okay.
I have never once read into Social Security because that's
Yeah, I don't
bullshit.
know either. So,
It's a complete scam of the government, you know, just collecting for futures of. I mean, my grandma makes 400 something dollars a month in Social Security. It's a fucking joke.
yeah,
Because you know why? She made $2 an hour for the majority of her life, worked her ass off, making stupid wages because that's just what it was back then.
hmm
And they based that off that on what she paid in because she's paying in 12 cents a check for 30 years. I mean, come on. I mean,
that's
$400 a
crazy.
month is a joke, dude. Like,
That's
if you
crazy.
if you're relying on Social Security for your retirement, then you're fucked, is what I would say.
Fair enough. I
But
believe you. With not knowing much about it, I do believe you.
yeah, I mean, just from what I've seen, even people that I know that make good money, and they're like, "Yeah, I'm retiring next year. I get $1,800 a month." I'm like, I mean,
That's yeah,
I've got one small commercial building that brings in and profits more than that.
yeah.
One, like I don't know. I mean, it's all about what, like I said, I get
It's
to talking about
perspective.
that, and then I start thinking about people who are watching these videos, or like I'm talking to these classes and to some of these kids, and I don't feel like I'm not trying to downgrade anybody, or if you really want to work and work 40 hours a week, as long as you're happy, who gives a shit? You know,
Chase, yes, yes.
I've got close friends and family that literally have 9 to 5 jobs and overextended themselves on their personal house and got a big pool and fancy new cars and probably literally dead up to their ears. And the only thing they have is their company's 401k and their house is their only investment.
Yeah,
And that to me is just not enough, you know?
yeah, it's scary
I
thinking
want to
about
leave,
it.
I want to leave something as a legacy to my kids. You know, I always wanted to retire at 35 is what I said. But that's obviously because I had those big dreams of being some internet millionaire.
Yeah,
It
yeah, I
never
feel you.
happened.
We all
But
did, I feel like.
37 now, and I could retire. I mean, I would call what I do now pretty much like retired because I love what I do. I've got money to where I don't need to work. I can
Hmm.
go on vacation. We have 2 properties in Florida and another one that we're about to close on. I mean, I can travel and do whatever without anybody telling me what to do. Is I think that to me is retirement to have the means of doing it and you know the means to do it and the time to do it is the two biggest things. And I think I've always said that about money. Like people probably know me, probably think I'm all about money, but it's not really about money to me more than money creates options, and you have those options to do what you want with your time and your money with those options,
Yes.
which is created by fucking money.
Yeah.
So
Money creates time. Yes.
yeah, and the options of doing whatever I want to do. If I wanted to go right now to Florida, I could go to Florida right now. Like yeah,
Hmm.
if you're working 9 to 5, odds are you cannot do that.
Yeah. Without losing your job, probably.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
But
But
yeah.
I mean, I think I'm probably an extreme case of like overextending myself and taking too many risks compared to like and there's a little luck involved with that. When I got into when we did the big fours, the restaurants started blowing up. It was during that phase of restaurants, the independent scene kicking off.
Yeah.
Like there's things that just anytime I had a bar or something that
Good
was
timing.
yeah, it was starting to go down or not do well, I would open a new one and it would be doing really well. Then I would sell the other one. Like it's always had good time. Yeah, that's right. And people say that about real estate. I'm glad you said timing because 100%. And when I tell people, everybody says location, 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 right? You've heard that with real estate.
Hmm.
It's not. To me, it's timing, timing, timing. Because at what time was your location relevant? It's the time that if I own property in Las Vegas 300 years ago, the time was not there. The location
Hmm.
was there. The time wasn't fucking there. So
Yeah.
with real estate, and I tell people that, somebody call me and be like, "What's this house worth?" I want 100 grand. The location's awesome. I go, but the timing's not right. You can get 100 grand. I don't deny that. It might be in 2025. It might be in 2030. That's your time when it's going to be worth that number. Like timing is more important than anything. And even like whenever I'm flipping a house, I have anxiety about getting them done because you just never know. You list it and then all of a sudden the next day Joe Smith gets approved for a loan for 150 grand and wants a 3 bedroom 2 bath on Elm Street, New Albany, and you list that property, the timing was there. That he's going to pay that money right then, right there, because that's what he wanted.
Okay. But how do you, like, when you are going to buy a property, how do you line your factors up? Like, what are the first few things you take? You don't have to jump in your whole process. I'm sure, there's a lot of, studying that involved, but what are your first few things that you think about when you're about to purchase something?
Um, you know, I would probably say, have you heard the term paralysis, analysis paralysis,
Mm-mm.
where people like they'll analyze a deal so much, and they're paralyzed from all the numbers and crunching, and you know, I don't deny that that's probably not a bad idea, but you know, the squirrel gets flattened because he's indecisive. He's going across the road, he don't know where to go, and he gets flattened. So I feel like a lot of the times that the risks I've taken, and a lot of that comes back from when you start getting money and you have money, me versus John Smith's got 30 grand in his bank and the property comes up for 25 grand and I've got, a lot more than that in my bank and the property comes up. and I can make that decision instantly. Like that's the key to me, is knowing where you want to be at. I do not do Louisville at all. A lot of
Yeah.
people, um, all the time, I get emails probably 10 times a day about properties in Louisville, and I will not go to Louisville. I just don't know that market.
Okay.
So it took me a lot to go to Florida. We invested in Destin, Florida, and it took a lot for me to do that. So it's not so much of like, when that deal calls you, you got to be ready to execute. So to me, it's not more about, once I get the deal in front of me or the house in front of me, of taking the time to really analyze it. I've done my research and due diligence right now in the years I've invested in this community to know,
You just
which,
recognize that pattern.
yeah, which block is good, and to me, I love real estate so much that I'm gonna make, like I said, I don't lose money on property. If you came to me and said I got a house for 20 grand, and somebody else had already offered you 20 grand, but you want to get closed on this week, I can close it Friday and get cash in your pocket. And I'd go out there and walk through it and make a decision like that, because I can tell you whether or not what I think what I think it's going to be worth or whatever. So I'm not so much as worried about it, because if say I buy it and the foundation is just completely shot and it's going to cost 30 grand to rebuild the whole foundation, but we can stabilize it and fix it for 5 grand, then I would just keep it and rent it. So when the time comes and I want to sell that property, if the timing's right, and then that property is now worth 200 grand, then you could spend that money to fix up the foundation. Or let me collect rent for 10 years for $600 a month, and then now my basis is nothing. You know what I mean? So
Yeah.
I don't focus so much on the the deals and the parameters of numbers as much as I do of like, like I told you on the phone, I look at every real estate deal as a business transaction itself. So there's two ways of making money on a property. I feel like the two most common ways is the fix and flip, or just the buy and flip, sell, whatever,
Okay.
buy and hold, and then rent it. So if you've got those two outcomes and I don't care to rent it, if John Smith only has 30 grand to invest and he wants to turn his money, he wants it back, then he's probably going to be more of analyzing that deal and checking everything and making sure that, you know, he needs to get with his foundation guy to check it out, see how much that, by the time I could have already closed on it.
Yeah.
By the time you get a guy out there to go look at it, I can already have already paid for it, so I don't stress about that as much now than I probably would have
At the
15 years
beginning.
ago.
Yeah,
Yeah.
for sure. Okay.
So, um, yeah, I don't know if that really answered your question, because it's
No,
not.
no, it does. It's pretty
Yeah.
much like telling people, like, eventually when you start executing a certain path on a certain thing that you're working on, you're going to have pattern recognition throughout this process. So you're going to be able to understand and a better spectrum farther down the road. 100%. I agree with that.
Yeah, and even like that, so that's me. But then as for a new person, what I would say is I would probably say that if you're new to it, is really focus on the area you want to be in. If it's in your subdivision, the timing of, like, if you live in Sellersburg and you're trying to flip a house in your subdivision, the timing is probably never going to happen, or not anytime soon, and then you got the timing of, yeah, so 2 years from now, one comes up for foreclose and it's in the price range you need to be at to make some money, but then, the market's turned and it's not a good time to buy. So,
Yeah.
like right now is a good example of, like, when people come to me and say, I want to invest in real estate, but right now the market's too good. Well, the rates are so low. That's offset, and that's what drove some of these prices up, is because you can spend 50 grand at 3% interest, compared to, like, if it used to be 30 grand, but it was 6% interest, then you got to give some, it's different there, where the payment might have been about the same. What are you talking about? If you're looking for a long-term investment, 30 grand or 50 grand on a long-term investment, that 20 grand difference isn't really is where your money's going. Check out an amortization schedule on how much you pay a bank. I mean, the money you're going to a bank on your personal loan is just far more exceeds. People are worried about pennies
Yeah.
on outcome of making more money. So the exact, and situation with this, the analogy I put it in is Florida. I paid top dollar for the 2 condos we bought. The house we got an offering on and we're closing soon is top dollar. But I got the financing 3% fixed for 30 years. To me, it outweighs if I would have got a deal on it for way less. And I don't care because I'm going to be renting it and the tenants are going to be paying the price.
Yeah.
So the same things come back up here is like, I would never buy in Florida right now because the market's too good. You're overpaying. Same thing up here. The market's better here than it is in Florida. And you're going to pay a little bit more, but in the outcome, it doesn't matter. If you're going to finance it. Now, if you're looking to go flip something, then yeah, you have to get it cheaper to make sure that you can invest.
Yeah, that's a different game though, right?
It
These
is.
are different. Yeah.
You're buying for 30, you put 30 in it, you got 60 in it, and it's worth 65. That numbers don't work,
Mm-hmm.
If you're buying it for 50 and you're going to rent it for 30 years, who cares what you're paying?
Yeah. Yeah. And you're fixed rated. So, I mean, you're not going to jump around when shit does hit the fan, if it does, when it does,
Yeah.
So,
yeah. And if it's investment, it's different though, like a lot of people, I feel like in 07 or 08, when they started giving stuff back, the market went crazy and it's their only investment. They bought a condo for 120. It's now worth 80. Then they're giving them back to the bank because if they get behind, you don't have the equity there to even, I would probably even second guess myself if I had my only equity was negative $40,000 and you could literally give it back and go rent something. And then in 7 years, that'd be off your whatever and credit and then buy again when the market's different. I mean, that's what, when Donald Trump says something about people talking about him about filing bankruptcy, it's like, yeah, it's bad, but there's laws in place for people to do things that if you abide by those laws and you do them properly, then, who gives a shit what you did? If there's a reason why you can give the property back to the bank. It's not like they say, no, you bought it, you have to pay for it forever.
Yeah.
There's things that you can do. Now, if you start you buy that condo, you buy 4 others and you're upside down on all of them, but they're still cash flowing and paying the bills. I mean, there was times where we went through a situation where we had upside down equity in properties, but I would never just give them back, and now look what's turned out. Now we're better market now than we were in 07, 06. So
yeah. So you just hold on those things and just hang on, or like when you're in a situation like that? Yeah, you're cutting out a little bit. Let's see here.
Your phone it's cutting out.
Okay, give me a sec. All right, you good?
Yeah, it might be my internet.
Yeah, it's just your signal's just jumping up and down like a little bit, but it's okay. Okay, awesome.
Might be our internet here.
Okay, you got me. All right, awesome. Well, you pretty much knocked out like a bunch of the stuff that I wanted to dig in with you, and especially with you bringing up the amount of hours that people are putting in for shit that they like ridiculous work that they hate already. I love that. With 2,000 something hour, or what was it? What was your number on that?
2,080 hours a week is
that's crazy.
a year is what you're.
Yeah.
Yeah, we touched on a lot of content.
So I love that. And freaking that, your 11-year-old son is my hero because he's outworking most of the people that are probably going to be watching this video.
Yeah, so. Put it on his website whenever you do that. When you edit,
I want you to text me. Yes.
His website, some views. So he also has I will. So what's crazy is we talked about how you can't teach people the that drive. You can't teach them. So back in I think it was like May or June or something, I'm about to go to bed. I get a text from my son and he says, "What else can I do to make money?" So that was I screenshot it and saved that text because it was like, you can't. I mean, that's insane. 11-year-old, his wheels are already turning. So we ended up. So every year, his grandparents, my wife's parents, give him some money, and he's got money saved up in his own account. So we asked them, make sure it was okay if we used it, and they said yeah. So I said, I'm gonna find him a deal. He's gonna buy a house at 11. We're gonna find one. So the market being the way it is, we couldn't find anything that was in the price range of what he had. So I partnered with him. So we partnered on a house and sold it, and he made like $7,800, and
Hell
he's
yeah.
like tickled to death, you know. So we had to set it up a little different with an LLC because when I started googling it and researching it, there's a thing called a kiddie tax. So these rich people back in the day were having their kids make money, and they were like it was like 10 or 12% income tax.
That's
So they
cool.
changed it now to where you're if you do like if your kid makes money, they have to make 50, you have to pay 50% profit.
Mm.
So what we did was we started an LLC. It's And One Enterprise LLC. So we'll run everything through that company. I'm the 100% owner of it, and it'll get taxed through my personal tax returns. And then if he acquires property in that and keeps it, because he said his goal is he take that money that he invested, put it back in his savings account, and then maybe do another one. And then he said once he gets enough money to buy one that he can rent, he wants to keep it. This is all his words. I didn't even. He's gonna once he gets some money or saved up in there where he can still buy a rental and then have a little bit left over to buy another flip. He's gonna buy one and keep it. So once that LLC starts creating properties and saying 7 years from now he's got 3 properties in that LLC, then I can sell that LLC to him for $1 at 18, and then he now owns that LLC. So he's still paying taxes on it. We're doing it all legit. It's just that he'll buy that LLC whenever he's 18 and can legally possess, you know, properties. So,
Yeah, that's incredible,
but
man.
yeah, he's
I
gonna.
love that, man. That's what
He,
get a taste for it. Once when people get a taste, I mean,
yeah,
he's
exactly.
11.
And
He's
that's what it
11 and he
was.
got a taste.
He got that taste.
Everybody, yes, yes.
And you know what? We were in Gulf Shores. I don't know, about 3 weeks ago. We went to Gulf Shores in Destin, about kind of similar to. But we were in Gulf Shores, and he says, and I got a Zelle. Someone paid me rent through Zelle, and I
Mhm.
showed it to him. So I'm always putting shit in his head. So it's
Yeah,
it's kind of fun to me of like I never had that, and if he has that desire and the will like I do, he's gonna be a money making machine. So I'm always
yeah.
putting shit in his head. So I showed him that Zelle payment, and I said make money while you sleep, and you'll never work a day in your life. And then he pulls out his phone, and he gets on eBay, and he said, I just had 2 offers on some cards. He's like, so it was just funny because
I
he's like,
love him,
I
dude.
know, dude. And he's like, I mean, he's on it. And
Yeah.
I had somebody, I posted one of his YouTube videos in this group page I'm in, like Bigger Pockets or something. And they deleted it and sent me a message and said, we will not tolerate you promoting your son to be a YouTube sensation or something. And I was like,
What?
that's what haters are. Like here they are
Yeah.
running a promotional thing, and like I was promoting him,
But this
whatever.
gives
But
you
he,
perspective.
he's 11.
That's what
So
I'm
I
saying.
wanted to put
Like,
that out there. Me, I
yes.
thought it was the best thing ever. And here it is. Like I kind of was like, as an entrepreneur, that they were not going to allow that. Now, would I love him to blow up and be an internet sensation? Fuck yeah.
Yeah, for
But it
sure.
wasn't my intent at all. I'm bragging about my 11-year-old like I am right now. I mean, it's still,
But
let him,
he's worth bragging on. He's out here doing shit, executing,
I
doing.
know.
I love it, man. I love next. If we do this again ever, like if we do
Yeah,
catch back up down the road, we need to bring him on with
no,
you.
that's what we should do. Is the next one we do is I want you to interview him, and I won't say a word, and I'll kind of be
Cool.
there or something, and we can just you say that you want to bring him on for his A1 Cars business, and he can talk because he's pretty witty. I mean, so he started a separate YouTube channel from his original one, but he's been doing videos on his. It was my YouTube account initially, and he's got like 60 videos on there. Water bottle flipping things, like he was always doing content like crazy on
Yeah,
YouTube.
I love
So
it,
then
man.
he said, I don't want people to see all the stuff I did when I was littler, so I want to do one more professional. And so he created a new YouTube where it's just strictly about business, and I'm
At
like,
11.
just think of that
I
too.
didn't
So,
think about that until I was 23, and I was like, I need to start getting rid of my old shit. You know,
yeah,
I was like,
yeah. So
I love it.
he had one video on there when he was like 2 years old when he was taking his shirt off and he got caught on his head and he was doing this
Yeah.
and he's like he wanted to delete it and I was like no, yeah, it was funny, let's leave it on there. So then he's like no, I'm just gonna start my own separate new one. And I was like all right.
There you go. Now he's got an and one YouTube channel now too.
Yeah,
Hell
so
yeah.
I think he did it under his. I don't know how. I think it may be under his personal name, but it was just a separate one. Because
Yeah.
oh yeah, because mine was McMahan Company, at McMahon Company, and
Hmm.
that's what mine was, and all of his kid videos. And then he started one. I think it's just at Connor McMahon, but he's on Instagram, uh, Connor's and one cards, and then I think he's on Twitter. I mean, he's on everything, dude. He's
Yeah.
like it's crazy. So we
He's
haven't
setting
really
up,
got.
man, for long
Yeah,
term.
I tell you what, like one thing you can tell to the people, Facebook Marketplace is really blown up.
Yes.
It's like the Craigslist 5 years ago. Craigslist was real popular. I don't
Yeah.
sell hardly anything on Craigslist anymore.
I think the
Facebook
Facebook
Marketplace,
Marketplace on steroids compared to this because you can
it
actually
is.
know exactly who you're buying from, all their history before. Like,
Yeah, it's
yeah.
they just now changed something too now where I think they're eventually going to charge for it, but it's 5%. It said the fees right now are being waived during test trial or something. I seen it on there, and it's like I listed a card for him, or we did it, and it was $100, and you can allow shipping, and you click shipping, and then you can put in how much you want to charge for shipping for the item, and then if it sells through that and they check out through Facebook, it's 5%. But right now they're waiving the fee on it because I think the problem that you get into with the Facebook Marketplace, and people need to educate themselves of when they're buying on there too, is that if you send money to somebody through Venmo or Zelle or Facebook, I don't know about Facebook just yet. I'm not as familiar with that, but I know PayPal. If you send it on friends and family, you have no repercussions of getting that money back. So if they scammed you, it's done.
Hmm.
So on reason why people like me or Connor want to take money through PayPal, friends and family is because it's free. So you can send money, like I can send you $20 and you don't get charged a fee. So, but the issue is if you're requesting a goods or service from someone and you send them money through friends and family, you
They don't
cannot
have
get that,
to.
you
Okay.
can't get that money back.
Yeah, there's a
So
whole different policy involved with it, but there's a
yeah,
nice little way around getting different fees.
yeah. So you can send it other ways. Now, like if you're just starting it, I will always try to get it through friends and family because we are legitimately. I'm always like, look, you can check us out. It's my
Yeah.
son's website, and1cars.com. It's just saving the credit card fees is all we're doing. I mean, we're
Hmm.
not, and but I get it though. As a buyer, I don't work. I'm not worried about your $1.50 PayPal fee. I want to send it to where I know it's guaranteed. So if Facebook finds a way to create that purchase where people know each other, I mean, you still get people. We're in group pages and stuff where you'll see people like screenshot the person and say got scammed, send them $1,000 for a box of cards, and they never sent it. Like, I mean, it sucks because it'll ruin it real fast if people don't do the right thing. But it is a real Facebook Marketplace is phenomenal to sell freaking anything.
Yeah.
Like now, I wouldn't do. I got friends you see that post stuff like gently used high chair, $5, meet me at Burger King. I'm like, that's the stupid shit that I
Yeah.
wouldn't do. But then they got anything you can ship that's shippable, um, like smaller that you're gonna save the money or the customer is gonna save the money. Sell that shit. It's like free money.
Yeah.
And I think that you said that taste Connor had was like those cards whenever he was going through his packs or his cards that he had in a box and would find a rookie card from somebody 3 years ago that's now playing pretty good and his card was selling for $20. So it's like free money is the way I put it
Yeah,
to him.
100%. Yeah.
And he got that taste and it was like you know and I would say sell if you start collecting cards or whatever, sell 80% of them. Keep a couple, but the cards are never going to be worth what they're worth right now.
No,
They're
they're jumping
they're
like
fire.
crazy.
Yeah, they're on
Yeah.
fire.
Yeah.
So
Hell yeah. Well, hey man, I appreciate you
yeah,
coming and hanging out with us and digging in about certain perspectives on how you can jump into real estate and maybe some certain things you should look at while you're there. And I
yeah,
love the fact that you have this crazy entrepreneurial 11-year-old that's out here killing it, man. I love it.
yeah.
Awesome.
I
So, like
think
I said, what's that?
I would say yeah, we definitely need to before school starts back in a couple of weeks. We maybe get something, figure out something to get him
Yeah,
on.
I'm down
Um,
with it.
I'll talk to him and see, just get him a feel for what. I mean, he's good with the videos though. So we've done a couple of videos where we've sat and chat about, when we were trying to buy the house. I kind of interviewed him, and then the post sale after we sold it. I don't think he's edited the video and posted it yet, but he's really good with like just as 11-year-old to be in front of the camera. It's kind
Yeah.
of hard, and he does a really good job. I like to see him on there.
Hell yeah. Yeah, it's good. Keep them going early because when they get older, they don't have that insecurity, that
Oh
they're
yeah,
dealing with,
for
you
sure.
know, which was like 90% of people deal with. So I get it for
Yeah.
sure. But yeah, let's do it, man. We'll hammer it out and we'll get in perspective with an 11-year-old man and start helping some other people out too. So I love it.
That'd be really cool to see that. I mean, I think that would probably motivate me if I was 30 years old and sitting on my couch and going, "Damn, I mean, I'm getting out hustled by 11-year-old."
Yes. Out hustled by 11. Like he barely a fraction of his life has even been here.
Yeah, this literally
So
we shipped three of these. We shipped three of them on Saturday when mail was running, and these were the ones I had. So I mean, and you're not talking easy. I mean, this is like literally probably $250 worth of cards.
yeah, hell
Some of
yeah,
them that
man.
he got for free, but then now that as it becomes a hobby too, he's buying boxes for $400. Like he's spending money and then pulling only cards that are worth 200 and losing money. So he's getting that taste too of failure from that. Not everything is success. Like
Yes.
you got to still work and strive and do your due diligence and make sure you're researching properly on. I'm telling. We went over to a card shop in Louisville, and I said, "Let me buy a box for you, and once I get my money back, we'll split whatever's in it and buy a big box." And I said, "What about this one?" He goes, "No, that's not a good box." I'm like, "What about that one?" No, they don't pull very good stuff on that one. And it's like he just knows, like he's done his I'm like,
Yeah.
I didn't even know, because he's usually 9 o'clock to bedtime. This summer he's just YouTubing, and what's he watching? Pack openings.
Hell yeah.
And then one of the boxes, he's like, the big hit's already been in that. Like, I've seen it. It was the guy in California pulled a Zion auto. It's not, so no one's buying those boxes anymore. Like, it's just
That's
thing.
crazy, man. He
So
goes
that's
all
the
the
research
logistics into
stuff.
it. Yes.
Yeah. So
Hell
you
yeah,
can't
man.
just sit back and go, you know, I'm gonna buy a pack of cards and then resell them.
Yeah. Okay, cool, man. Yeah, just text me all of his info because I want to put that in the post too.
Okay.
Okay, awesome. Well, I appreciate your time, buddy.
Yeah, no problem. Have a good one.
You too, man. Thank you.
Later.
There you go. Oh, I hope you guys learned a lot from Matt. He is killing it right now. But I mean, it's taken that 15 years of executing and trial and error and all these different things that he's had to adjust to make certain moves to get to where he is now. Every episode comes down to almost the same thing: is dedicate yourself to your passion. So he's done that. His 11-year-old's doing that, outworking most of the people that I know that complain about doing shit they hate. Then when you get home, do some research about some shit you love and then turn the shit you love into a business. So we'll see you next time.